Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and it's time to think about DLC. Yeah, I know, it's a weird thing, but ever since we got the confirmation, well, verbal confirmation, that we're going to get 3 DLCs, this is all for Total War Warhammer by the way this year, then I've been thinking about the future. What could come, what is needed, and what faction really needs some help. Are we getting a race pack? Are we getting lord packs? What are we getting? And I feel like I could make some educated guesses, so in this video we're going to do exactly that. So like I said, there's 3 DLCs coming, one in April, one in summer, and one in winter. There's actually quite a bit that we can look forward to. Now, before anything, we do have to talk about the fact that people are saying it's not much. And I think it's actually quite a decent amount of DLC. Keep in mind that once every 4 months is actually really good, and obviously this is not the only game that Creative Assembly are clearly working on. We know that Hyenas is a thing, though it's something with a different dev team, and there's 2 unannounced projects, so one can assume that one of those is another Total War game, and that will also need its time in the limelight, as that will be a direct competitor to Total War Warhammer. Not really a direct competitor in the term of, you know, taking money away from the other one, but rather some attention will need to be put into that to market it if we do get another Total War game this year. So that's why we're likely getting just 3 DLCs. Mind you, again, 3 DLCs is better than what we've had in recent years. It's not just because of Warhammer 3's slowdown, but keep in mind that I think during the end of Warhammer 2, DLC was what, once every 7 months? So yeah, I'm happy that we're getting it once every 4 months. It's a massive improvement. So the first DLC, which is coming to us this April, is easy enough to actually guess. It's the Chaos Dwarves, because there's been so many leaks regarding that and hints regarding that if we don't get the Chaos Dwarves, there's going to be an absolute riot. You guys might not remember, but there was also data mine stuff where we had the voice intros for the Chaos Dwarves. There's been like loads of stuff rigging has been found. So yeah, the Chaos Dwarves are likely to come next, and yeah, that is probably going to be the best thing for everyone. Morale is going to probably go very high up. We're not going to talk too much about the Chaos Dwarves though, because I've spoken about Chaos Dwarves in so many videos already that until DLC actually comes up, and if we can see if it lives up to expectations or not, we're better off just waiting till April. Well, I imagine if April is the release, then probably early April, late March will be more or less when creators, I guess, get access to start promoting the DLC. At least I hope so, because I'm kind of curious myself about the next DLC. That leaves us with 2 more, and I'm here thinking that it's likely going to be Lord Packs, because it makes sense to do Lord Packs. It's a very common thing, and not only that, but it seems that race packs do take a decent amount of time. Now, there's a lot of various different factions which are really popular. These are the Empire, Cathay. We actually know this because obviously Creative Assembly posted a few stats, but yeah, those would probably be the ones best to actually do some form of content for. And I don't imagine that we'll get another Champions of Chaos style DLC anytime soon, at least until next year, as it makes sense not to do another one, because while some factions are in need of a DLC like that, a Lord Pack could actually help out 2 factions and get some things over and done with. So stuff like general fixes, quality of life updates, stuff to make the races a little bit more bearable. And I've got a few ideas on how this could be done. I've in fact made some videos on these possibilities before, but I kind of just want to talk about it now as, yeah, I feel like these are quite viable. One DLC we could expect to see is Tamukan versus Elseth. I called this the Lady and the Maggot, I believe, way back last year. But this is actually something that makes a lot of sense, because the Empire is the most popular faction in Total War Warhammer 3, which is kind of surprising that everyone wants to play humans, but hey, the Empire, as we can all see, are in desperate need of a rework. The fact is that right now they're suffering pretty heavily as all their territory is very inhospitable. They're surrounded by enemies and they need something to keep them alive a little bit longer, some new mechanics, and well, Elseth is a very cool character in general. Why Tamukan alongside her? Well, the book was actually centered around Tamukan versus Elseth, and it would make sense as Nurgle right now is one of the most stylized factions to play. Very unique mechanics, loads and loads of really cool stuff. The only problem is that playing them right now is, soul-sucking. That's all I can really say. So Nurgle itself doesn't actually need the majority of the attention, it just needs a proper once-over just to fix up any issues. Like, for example, just making their economy a little bit better so you can actually field a few more armies. And there you go. It's simple enough that should actually get fixed with patches, but I'll take it in one of these forms of DLC. The Empire would get the most attention, and yeah, there we go. Now, obviously, we have to take into account that, yes, they're not in the most desperate place. Kislev and Cathay are, but I imagine that they're just going to want to finish off the Empire because they want more people to play the Empire. The more people that play it, the more replayability, the more people get engaged with the game, essentially. And the Empire itself doesn't need a massive rework, it just needs a rework just to fix some things up, which would then allow them to rest after releasing a big race pack if Chaos Dwarfs end up being next. The idea here makes sense because you get a massive workload, then a smaller workload, and then the next DLC could be potentially a massive workload. To which I believe the next one could easily be Kislev versus Norsca. Kislev actually needs a lot of help when you compare Kislev to Grand Cathay. Grand Cathay, sure, is kind of stripped down, but the faction plays generally quite well. Kislev, on the other hand, is stuck between pretty much every single enemy, and yeah, you don't really have too much to go for. Norsca, well, you know, it's been a few years, and Norsca is still one of the worst factions to play. Yes, they had a big quality of life improvement, but it's definitely something that is still not great to play. They desperately need a DLC, they desperately need a rework. Hell, even Creative Assembly even acknowledged that when Immortal Empires released and they had that blog regarding the changes, as, yes, yeah, they did help. Again, it did make it a little better, but I still don't want to actively play Norsca. It's the only race that I just see there and I just don't want to play. Now, there is a possibility that they decide that Norsca might have to wait until next year, but I very much doubt that, since the Warriors of Chaos rework was so well received, so they might want to push to get a rework out ASAP just to win some favor with the fanbase. However, if the Norsca rework is taking too long, I imagine that they might take some time to actually do a Kislev vs Norsca DLC, and it could be pushed back to next year. And if that's the case, then it's possible we could see a Cathay vs Tzeentch DLC, as many people have been expecting the Monkey King versus the Changeling, as that's been hinted a few times already in-game, and it is a pretty good matchup. Tzeentch doesn't really need too much, but does need a little bit of changes here and there, just some quality of life improvements. Cathay could desperately need some new stuff, you know, stuff from the Fabled Army book that we've yet to see because Games Workshop is super slow, and I feel like that's quite a good compromise, as either way, it'll be factions that actually need the help. I know a lot of people would be saying, why not Kislev versus Cathay, just to kind of kill two birds with one stone. And Order versus Order would just be kind of boring. It would always be good to have a proper adversary, a proper matchup, as, yeah, it just makes for better theming. Theming is actually relatively important, and you can actually see that in some DLCs. Also, I'm seeing people saying a lot online that they think that one of the DLCs is Mirrors of Madness. No. Mirror of Madness is just another function very similar to the Laboratory of Warhammer 2. This is something that was already shown off, and we know Intel is involved, which were involved with the Laboratory too. So that's not DLC, that's FLC that will come alongside a DLC. While Creative Assembly are known to make bad decisions every now and then, they're not stupid enough to make you pay for a feature that is not even going to be used in your campaign. It's something that just doesn't really make sense. So don't you worry, it's not Mirror of Madness. What you would have noticed is that my theories are mostly based on cross-game DLC, and that's actually because I feel that Creative Assembly should jump directly into cross-game DLC whenever possible. We did have that in Warhammer 2, but Warhammer 2 started off with Game 2 versus Game 2, and then eventually making its way with Game 2 versus Game 1. We need more variety. We don't need everything being focused on Game 3, as a lot of the Game 3 factions so far are okay. Yes, there's more stuff I would like for Khorne or Slaanesh, Tzeentch, Nurgle, all of them really, but the idea is start fleshing out all the other rosters which are almost complete, right? In terms of units, start finishing off a bunch of stuff when possible, and just fix up the factions which are in desperate need for help. There's obviously a lot of potential, but these are the ones that I'm thinking are the most likely. What do you guys think about these? What do you guys want to see? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let's start a bit of a discussion. Apologies for the video being late. I've been dealing with some stuff that I've had to sort out. But have a good day, guys, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.